4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan, your HVAC marketing experts with On Purpose Media, where we have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. So cheers. Russell, thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
I'm back to practice. Thank you.
I love it. Just cheers and straight from the bottle. I love it.
You know,
although the last guest we had on that was drinking from a bottle, it didn't end up so great. So,
well, I'm going to pour it into my new. I had to go grab a new Glencairn because I broke mine, so I had to run down the street and grab one before this interview. So,
I love it.
Well, there you go.
Well, we appreciate you grabbing that for us.
At least the bottle is right beside you, so you can just pour it into the glass. And nobody sees you drinking straight out of the bottle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll say this is a bottle my wife sent me, so because she knows I love rum, so she sent this to me. So I'm gonna try it out.
Nice. Texas rum. I've never heard of Texas rum.
Yeah, me neither. But hey, man, we'll see what happens.
All right. I'm sure it'll be tasty.
See how far we get into it today.
Yeah.
Awesome. For those of you that don't know Russel Furr, he is our guest today. He is from Culpeper Home Services, crushing it in a smaller market. I mean, the total town population that he's in right now is only about 18,000. Overall market, about 50,000, right? Is that accurate? Yeah, yep. Sweet.
Pretty close.
But what I love about his story and his journey is, one, he learned just about everything you could possibly learn as a sales tech and technician, crushed it in that role, got to the point where it was time for him to either, shit or get off the pot. And so he went for it and opened his business. And he was very intentional about the market that he wanted to go to, because he wanted to jump into a market where it was being vastly underserved. And he went in and just wanted to crush the competition by running the most customer focused and customer centric business that he possibly could. And when you look at his reviews, I mean, it speaks volumes to the business that he's running. So really thrilled to have you on the show here. Russell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me, man. I look forward to it. I've never been invited on a show where you actually kind of hang out and drink. So that's pretty cool. I can't wait.
I mean, what else are you going to do on a Wednesday afternoon before Thanksgiving, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I guess why don't you walk us through a little bit of that journey and part of the thought process behind wanting to launch in Culpeper in an underserved market, why that was so essential for you and so important to you?
Well, first off, before that, how is the rum?
The rum's decent. It's not as smooth as the rum that I really like is Ron Zacapa. They make a 23-year, and they make an XO, which is their highest end rum they make. Those are my two favorites. But this is good. It's drinkable. It's decent.
Perfect. That's how you do.
Hey,
I read the label, and it's made from molasses, but the best rums are made from pure sugarcane. So that might be the difference.
That's true.
That probably is. Yes.
Love it.
So
yeah, hit us with the story.
So the journey basically to where I am now is, started in the trades at 17. I guess you could say 16, and I quit high school. Last grade I passed was 8th grade. Went in 9th grade. It was a freaking shit show. All I wanted to do was smoke reefer and, do everything I wasn't supposed to be doing, So, then that trucked on, got what should have been my sophomore year, but I was still a freshman. So I did that for a couple of months, and it was just like I couldn't stay out of trouble and shit. And I was telling my mom, just let me quit, man. I want to go to work, man. So she let me. Finally, I got enough damn trouble where she was like, all right, screw it. I'm done with this shit. So that's how that kind of went. And I went into landscaping. I was like, I found some ad in the paper. This is like 1999. I found some ad in the paper for like a landscape helper in like Lorton, which is Northern Virginia. And I was living in like Fauquier or Stafford or some shit at the time, which is, and typically people in this market, they commute up north. You got to see a bunch of traffic and everything else. And that's where everyone thinks you got to go to make the money. And, so that's where I went and did that for a year or so. And then a buddy of mine he was already working for a plumbing company. He graduated a couple of years before I did. So he was already kind of working with a company, but they're in Alexandria, Old Town Alexandria, which is way up there. It's next to DC. And he said, hey man, come up here and be a helper with me. I said, all right, cool, dude. Sounds good. So I went up there and started for like $9 an hour or something, man, digging sewers and busting up floors with a jackhammer and humping heavy buckets of gravel and concrete and dirt and, doing all that crap. And, and then kind of progressed into doing some remodeling, helping and learning that kind of stuff, and then went into service. And I really like service. I really enjoyed service a lot because I enjoyed working with the customers. I enjoyed kind of being on the go all day and not staying in one place all day long. I can kind of run around and run errands and crap if I wanted to, you know what I mean? And so service was cool, man. Service was cool. That's where I kind of fell into place, so to speak. You know, I really enjoyed it. You know, and that was 99. You know, went through the ranks, freaking got into a truck pretty quickly when I was probably 18. I wasn't doing it for very long, and I got thrown into a truck, and basically was like, it was this old like 1986 Ford Econoline. The back end was all smashed in. The freaking doors wouldn't open and shit.
Oh, they took care of you.
And
Great,
the thing is,
great curb appeal when you show up to a house.
Well,
Yeah.
dude, in 99, 2000, that shit didn't matter. You know, like there was no Google reviews and shit, man. It was just like a different world, man. You
It's
know,
the Wild West.
yeah, seriously, it was. You could just do whatever the hell you wanted, and I mean, what's your customer going to tell their neighbor? What do you freaking do? Like, you see what I mean?
Yep.
Like that doesn't do anything. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? So back then it was just like this attitude was like, fuck the customer. It was weird, you know, but that's the kind of culture that I was in. It was all these old school dudes, and they were from the place had been around since the 40s. And, you know, it was an interesting thing, man, because we'd all be sitting back at the shop at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, all drinking Budweiser and hanging out and bullshitting, you know, or we'd be at the strip club, or, you know, I remember one time it was funny as shit. We were, it was a Friday afternoon, and we went to this freaking restaurant. We'd always go to restaurants and drink a bunch of beer and get drunk and shit. And we went to this one restaurant, and it was a Friday afternoon, like 2 o'clock. We're up there getting wasted and shit. And then we leave, man, and we find out we got another call to run.
Oh no.
I was like, oh shit, man, you know. And back in them days, it's like if you didn't want to run any more calls, you just didn't go back to the office. You just vanished the rest of the day, you know. And it's like, you know, because you weren't dispatched from the office and shit like that, man. It's like you were handed
There's no
calls.
GPS on the van.
No, it's none of that shit, man. So like you were just handed us, you know, 3 or 4 calls, whatever it was, and you know, and then anything else that came in got laid on this big table, and you know, and then if you know, when you finish your calls, you go back, pick up some calls if you wanted to, or if you don't, you just fucking roll the hell out and go hang out the rest of the day. You know what I mean? It was like, oh my God, I still don't know I don't know how they stayed in business, man. You know?
Well, like you said, there's no Google reviews. No one's going to talk about it, right? There wasn't a lot of competition back then either, right? That was a big thing. So
yeah, it was still all mom and pops and shit. It was still all this old school kind of stuff going on, man.
Yeah.
Well, and that, you know, that also, I mean, probably had a little bit of a frustration for you too, because I know that when we chatted about having you on the show, one of the things that you did when you started Culpeper Home Services is you're like, okay, I want to have a modern company where customer service is actually at the forefront. And a lot of the faults in the market were the fact that they didn't give a shit about their clients, and it showed. Right. So walk us through the decision to, you know, start the company, making it as customer priority or customer experience first.
Well, so in 2013, I'll take you back a little bit farther. I'll take you back to 2013 because that was a really a life-changing moment for me. I was with my wife at the time for like 10 years. We had 2 kids, man, and you know, we got a divorce basically, and my whole freaking life fell apart, dude. It was like, it was the worst damn thing that had ever happened to me. And even to this day, it's like, you know, I call these things, I've come to learn as I've gotten older, man. I come to learn as these things in life, I call them humbling moments. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like people have to go through hard fucking times, man. And that was fucking hard. That was hard as shit for me, dude, because it's like everything I'd worked for in plumbing for like 15 years, man, freaking lost it all overnight, lost my kids, lost my house, lost fucking everything, dude. And all I had was a fucking backpack with some clothes in it and some plumbing uniforms and a plumbing truck with some tools in it because I had a job, you know what I'm saying? So I had a plumbing truck with tools and a bag of shit, you know, a bag of belongings, and I had to move in with my mom in her fucking basement, dude. And here I am, like 33 years old at the time or whatever I was, and it was just like, it was a horrible experience going through that, man. And but you know, I met my current wife shortly after, moved in with her basically. She was living like 3 hours away from me. You know, we met online like everyone meets these days, you know. She was living like 3 hours away from me, dude. So I was like, fuck it, I got nothing to lose, man. Like, what am I gonna do? Go hang out in my mom's basement? Let me go hang out with this chick and see what happens, you know? So so we just hit it off, man. And freaking, you know, it's just been an amazing experience. She's great. She scraped me off the floor when I was broke and busted and fucking not worth shit, man. It was a terrible, terrible time. But we've rebuilt. We had to rent this little shithole in Culpeper because she had gone through divorce at the same time. And so we rented this little shithole in Culpeper. We had bad credit. We had fucking bankruptcies and all kinds of shit. It's just what happens when you get a fucking divorce, man. If anyone's ever been through it, it's not fun. It really tears you down, man. So like 2015, I think it was 14, I think we moved to Culpeper together. We rented the house together. It was a little shithole we had to rent. But we stayed there for 5 years, man, and we freaking rebuilt, man. And at that time, I actually got a job working down there where she was living for a little bit because I moved in with her. And it was this little shitty little company out in Waynesboro, this little like podunk town. And I was making like $20 an hour. And it was just like, not the type of company that I could excel in, nor did the type of company exist in the entire area that I could have excelled in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just kind of like a dead end market, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't a really good company to work for. I did that for a couple months, man. And I was like, I got to get back to fucking Northern Virginia where I can actually make some money, So I moved back in with my mom, and that's when me and my wife now, Lori, that's when we kind of got a place to live here in Culpeper. And so that was like 2014. And then what happened is I got a job working for this company at the time. It's called Plumberologist, and they're a Nexstar company, first ever Nexstar company. And I was like, this is freaking awesome. I was like, there's room to go somewhere in this company, because there's like a whole management structure and things just seemed all dialed in. And it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. It was like, this is like a real company here, So that was really exciting. And being involved with the Nexstar kind of showed me a lot of stuff that I'd never seen before and really honed me in. And I feel like really polished me into being like a really true freaking professional technician, because it was like, I've always been pretty decent at sales and producing. I've always been a producer. I've got my achievements over the years on the wall back here. I've always been a producer, but it was always like hot and cold and never really any consistency and that sort of thing. But when I got into this Nexstar system, I really learned that everything is, I'm in control of everything. I'm in control of everything. And if I just got my mind right and got my mind in the game and kept my mind in the game, that you're going to have slow times, man, a week or two here and there where customers just stop buying. But by and large, man, if your head's in the game, you're going to produce a week in, a week out, man. And at that point on, man, I was just on fire, man. And I had 2015, 16, and 17 with that company, and made the most money I'd ever made. I was just an amazing employee. I loved working there. I even went into doing HVAC sales in 2017 when they lost their comfort consultant. And because I've been trying to move up in the company, it's like, dude, like, where am I going? I'm not like a technician. I'm not gonna ride behind the windshield the rest of my life. Like, what's happening here? You know what I'm saying? I got to that point. Like, what are we doing? So I went into this freaking sales role and didn't know jack shit about HVAC and taught myself everything, man. And I was just thrown into it within, a couple of weeks. It was like, hey, you want to do this? I was like, hell yeah, let's do it, man. I'm not fucking scared. So I just absorbed information, dude, from everywhere I could. I just absorbed information, and so I did that 2017. And it was like a major commitment, because what happens is, in sales, you got to be there when the people are gonna, be home or whatever. So it's like, I go from being a top producer plumber where I can sell out my first job, almost every single day and be done by 2:00 and have banged $5,000, and I'm fucking sitting at home, and while everyone else is banging out calls for $300 averages. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the way I like to roll, dude. I want to hit it in my first, second call at least, man. And I need to get $3,000. That was my goal. Every day was $3,000, and I do it or I do more, So to go from having a situation like that where it was no on call, do whatever I want, basically, in a sense, to then having this freaking sales role where now it's like this customer's not going to be on until 5:00, and I'm sitting around all day with nothing to do, and it's like I got to sit around all day and wait for this customer to come on at 5:00, and just to be told that whatever, you know how it is if anyone's ever been in sales, man. It's a pain in the ass.
Sit around and wait till 5:00, and then you show up and they're like, oh, sorry, I forgot, you have to reschedule. Like, motherfucker.
Yeah, shit like that, man. And then like working every Saturday, like I was all in, dude. Like, I'm a company man. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make this shit work, dude. You give me a task or a goal, man, I'm gonna crush it every fucking time, dude. So I was like, so I was working every Saturday, working all these freaking hours, yada yada yada, and at the end of the year, when the end of the year came, it's like I made the same money as I made plumbing. It's like, well, why the hell am I doing all this extra work, missing this time with my kids? Because now I'm an every other weekend dad, and I'm working every Saturday, and you know what I'm saying? So I invested a lot, man, and I pretty much made the same money as I was plumbing. And at that point, that's when I had this like kind of like awakening experience, because it was like, you know, January 2018. I knew how much I made the previous year, but when I got my W-2, it was like, yeah, fuck it, this is pretty much the same damn money, dude. You know, why did I do all that? You know?
Right.
So that's when it was like, it's time to fucking do something, man. This ain't working. Like for me to get, I'm just always driving, dude. Like, where's the top? Where's the top? Where's the top? You know? And in order for me to get where I want to go, man, I just had this like realization, like I got to do it on my own. And I remember laying in bed at night, and like, it was like this, I was like trying to think of names and shit, and my head was all going 100 miles an hour. And I just kept having like Culpeper Home Services roll around through my head, Culpeper Home Services, and I can't sleep. And I'm laying there in bed at night, and I can't sleep. And it's like, you know, this is the answer. This is what I need to do, man. And then it took about 2 weeks for me to actually leave the company, because like, it was like a marriage breaking up, man. I loved the place. I loved the owner. I loved everyone there, dude. It was I never wanted to leave. Never thought I'd leave. But there was just walls built. I couldn't go anywhere, you know?
Right.
And the owner was under this freaking, this belief that technicians can't go anywhere in a company because technicians like to build things with their hands, and they like to like physically do things. And if they progress outside of that role, that they just can't excel or do anything because they're not doing what they love to do. You know, this is bullshit. Is all it is bullshit. Because you're going to sit here and try and tell me that all these successful owners out there that were technicians, like it just like, open your fucking eyes, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Open your eyes.
Well, there's a lot of companies and a lot of guys that start their business, you know, they were tech first.
Right.
And then same sort of situation happens. They're like, well, okay, I move up into the sales role. I move up into this. I move up into this. But they want more. You know, you can get some of your freedoms back on that. And like when you move into that owner role, it kind of changes your paradigm shift a little bit too, right? And you also have to change your mindset behind that. And that was one of the things that I wrote down earlier too, is that you had your mindset shift, your big one, you know, when you were, you know, 2013, 2014, okay, I'm going to change my circumstances by changing my mindset, and boom. And here you are now. Right. So to go to that whole tech turned owner part of things though, you know, and going back to that, because a lot of people move down that road and they realize, shit, it's a lot of work being a business owner. What were some of your, I guess, struggles when you first started launching this business and getting into that, in finding this ownership role, having the experiences that you've had leading up into it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just when I think back at that time, man, 2018 was my first year, and didn't really have any struggles. It was just all the same shit I was doing already as a technician. It's like, but it was just like, I mean, there were definitely some worries, you know, of course, like financial worries, because like, but in terms of running the calls, I've always known how to make money. I've always been great at making money. Like I can make money, dude. Like I know how to fucking make money. I had a service truck and I had parts on the thing. I can make some money. That's all I need. You know what I mean? So I was out there turning revenue, answering every phone call, had a notebook and kept notes and everything. And when I get home, I'd have to book all the calls, and luckily I knew from day one I needed tight accounting. I don't know how I knew this, but I knew that I needed like super, super sound financials. And I knew that I did not know how to do that. You know, I didn't even know what it looked like to have great financials. I didn't even know, I've never been exposed to it, but I just knew that I needed it, you know? So I hired this bookkeeper in town, and I was like, look, you know, I need my vendor, you know, payments or whatever to reflect in the correct month that I'm doing the work. Cause right now the way we're doing, this isn't what I need, you know? And she was like trying to argue with me like I didn't need that. And, you know, and I was like, whatever, dude. So I left her and I went to this other lady in town, and she was horrible. She was trying to tell me I had too many chart of accounts and this and that. Like, whatever, you're not the right fit either, you know? So then I found, you know, then I found,
like, you're not cooking my books. You're out of here.
You know, then I found freaking Cheryl Lanahan. I don't know how I found Cheryl Lanahan on Plum Books, but I found her and I knew right away she knows what she's talking about. Like, she's awesome, you know? Right. So she got me dialed in financially, and it's just so freaking important to have sound financials, man. I can't stress that enough, man, because, you know, you'll have freaking CPAs or some bullshit doing your books or something, and they're trying to tell you don't need your labor broken out or some bullshit, and it's like, whatever, dude, whatever. I just don't understand it.
Totally. Well, you got to be really careful about how you choose the people that you surround yourself with, and I don't care whether that's the bookkeeper, the accountant, the technicians, etc. You need to find the right people and surround yourself with the right people, get them in the right seats on the bus. But especially when it comes to financials, like, you want to make sure that they're not the ones that are dictating how you're running your marketing. They shouldn't be the ones that are dictating how you're running your hiring. Like, they are there to run your financials and make sure you got the money to be able to do those things. But at the end of the day, those are the processes, and those are the things that you need in order to grow your business. So you do have to be very choosy about who's in that seat.
Yeah. But it's pretty cool, man, because I've known from day one that you got to work for homeowners. You can't bill anybody. You know, you got to have a positive cash flow business. And even in the beginning, when you're not making a lot of money, as long as you run it correctly in terms of collecting when you're done working, you're not billing anybody. You're not working for scumbag contractors that are beating you down on price and requiring, giving you a net 30 and you're lucky if you get it 90. Like, you can't do shit like that, man. You got to work, get paid. And I knew that from day one, man. So I've always been cash flow positive. I've never once had trouble making payroll, never once had trouble paying anything, which is pretty cool, I think, man, because you hear a lot of stories about, you just hear a lot of stories. And frankly, over the years, I worked for companies where, like, oh, but you can't use the gas cards, or you can't go to this such and such vendors. And I never figured it out as a technician, I never figured it out. But thinking back, it's like, these motherfuckers were broke, dude, didn't have any money,
Well, and that's a very real thing in a lot of businesses, right? Because I mean, let's face it, nobody learns profit loss statements. I mean, the only thing, I went to business school, and really the only thing I took from business school was how to read a profit loss statement, how to drink a beer, and maybe roll a doobie and smoke one, but maybe that might have been high school. But you're real, like, if it wasn't for me actually going to business school, I wouldn't know those things and how to actually know my way around financial statements. And I think a lot of people take that for granted. They see, oh shit, I just did a $10,000 install, roll it in the bank. Well, no, now you've got, this, you've got your truck, you've got your overhead, you got your expenses, you've got insurance, you've got your vehicles, you've got your gas, you've got your shop if you have one. Like, there's a lot of extra things that go into it. And without knowing those things, I mean, you also look back to your pricing. Okay, well, now how am I going to make my pricing? Well, I want to make this much at the end of the day. Okay, we'll work backwards from that and have that very sound financial acumen behind it, because a lot of businesses go out of business because they are shit at their finances.
Yeah. Number one, lack of cash. If you had enough cash, I don't care if the fucking phone stops ringing for 3 months. If you have enough cash, you're not going out of business.
Well, use the pandemic as an example, right? Like, you look at, like, when it first happened, and different businesses were affected, they were shut down, and the ones that were able to withstand and weather the storm, they had stockpiles of cash, right? They had cash on hand. Don't live on the float. Don't pull a Nike when you're first starting your business, and live on the float. By the way, good book, Shoe Dog, by Phil Knight. He talks a lot about that. So cash is king.
Yep. And stop fucking paying cash for trucks, man. Finance that shit. Leverage your cash. I would have never been able to build this company on cash, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, leverage cash. That's how you grow your business, And yes, I understand there's companies out there that do pay cash for everything, and they do well at it. Like, I understand. Like, some are able to do it. But by and large, man, I've had people coming to me saying, man, I wish I wouldn't have paid cash for that truck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very real. I'd rather pay $1,000 a month than shell out 50 grand cash. It just makes no sense, because once I shell out 50 grand, once I shell out that 50 grand cash, well, you know what? Now I got to shell out another 20 grand cash to get the thing wrapped and stocked and equipment on it and freaking everything else, man.
Yep. It puts a bottleneck on the growth of your business.
It does.
Right? Like, how else can those dollars be used so that you can continue to grow? Who can you hire? What marketing can you run? Like, there's so many different things that you can do with that money if you finance that shit up front.
Exactly. So, but I'll tell you a story about my first year in business. It's pretty interesting.
Sorry, I was just laughing at this. You can't eat that truck.
That's true. That's my buddy. He actually got me started in plumbing, man. And it's true. We talk about that shit all the time, man. You can't eat that fucking truck. Don't pay cash for that truck. You can't eat that motherfucker when the phone stops ringing.
Yep.
Love it.
And so I was like brand new in fucking business, man. I was like, I was probably technically unemployed at this point. You know, like, but my phone rings.
As most new business owners.
Yeah. So my phone rings first day, quote unquote, in business. I use that term very, very loosely because I don't, you know, but first day my phone rings. I'm like, oh shit, I got a call, dude. So I answer the phone and it's this dude in town and he wanted an estimate on a tankless water heater, which is, you know, I love tankless water heaters, man. And I was like, sweet. So I booked it and I go out there and I sell it and I sold it for like $3,200. I mean, I'm brand new, man. I'm just trying to get some cash. And you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get a little bit of money. So I sold this thing for $3,200 and I'm just thinking back to everyone I've done. And typically I get the parts for like $1,700, man, you know? So I freaking, so I sell this heater, man. He gives me $1,650, I think, cash as a deposit. Cause you got to get deposits too, guys. You know, don't walk away without getting a deposit. So I collected 50% down. So I had $1,600 cash, you know, and I was like, sweet, I can get the freaking materials and I can get this damn, you know, heater installed for this dude, you know? And cause I was broke, dude. I had like, you know, $5,000 in the bank and that was freaking spent on uniforms and business cards and invoices and all the other crap it takes to get going, you know? So freaking, so I had this cash, right? And so I go to the freaking supply house. There was a Ferguson here in town. And a couple of days prior, I'd submitted an application, you know, like a credit app. So I go in, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get all my stuff, man, and freaking, you know, walked around all the aisles with the basket, and you know, got all my stuff and set it on the counter, and freaking, you know, and then told them what I needed. I need a Navion, you know, 240A, and you know, we were paying like $1,400 for those things. Well, it turns out the damn thing, my cost was like $1,800, and I'm like, just for the heater, I can't even buy the heater. I was like, shit, man. I was like, no. So I ended up having to freaking leave, man. And they were like, no, your account was denied. Like I couldn't even get freaking credit at the freaking Ferguson. I'm like, holy shit, man, what am I gonna do? So it's like, man, I just like put my tail between the legs and freaking walked out and like went in my van and cried. I was like, man, I'm screwed, man. I'm screwed. I'm out of business before I even started business. And you know, and of course I never told my wife that because she was already freaking out enough, dude. And but so I ended up having to use a freaking credit card and buy all the shit. You know, I had this personal credit card and I had to buy all the shit. And then, so I got everything and I went and did the job and freaking collected the rest. And, you know, but it was shit like that, man, in the beginning, you know, like trying to stock my truck and not having any money to do it. And, you know, just having to do a job and take the little bit of money that I got and go fucking buy some truck stock. And, you know, and I had these horrible shirts. I post this picture on my Facebook page every now and then, but I designed these shirts on Vista Print. And when they came in, they were like, nowhere near what I freaking designed online, dude. And I got like 5 of them because I was broke, dude. And they were like this horrible color. And there's this shitty logo that I made on my freaking computer, my kitchen. And like, it was a shit show, dude. And they were too small and it looked like shit. And I was embarrassed to wear it. But I was like, you know what am I going to do, dude? You know? So I wore these fucking horrible shirts for like the first few weeks, man. And I fucking like went and got some polos and got them embroidered and shit.
Fuck, that's unreal.
I'm actually looking right now for a picture of that shirt.
Right now.
It's on there, dude. I post it all. Every time it comes across my memories, I post it because it's just funny.
But how many guys would have stopped at any one of those obstacles and just said, shit, this is too tough, I'm gonna go get a job? Right? Like all the time that shit happens and it's constant. I mean, when you're running a business, it's not like the problems run out because you solved this problem and now you've got nice looking shirts instead of shitty orange ones or whatever it was, right? Like you solved that problem. Now it's on to the next one and the problems just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And now you're working with a team of people, right? And you not only have your problems as the business, but now you're dealing with all of their problems too and having to fix all of that. So that's one of the biggest obstacles that I start to see now is you've got these technicians who are masterful on the tools. They can fix anything. Starting to run a business, they're making a little bit of money, they know how to sell, they know how to go get customers, like that's fine. Referrals, great. Now you start hiring people and growing into a team. What were some of those struggles that you ran into where you're like, shit, I don't know what I'm doing here, and now I'm having to manage other people and make sure that they are taken care of as well, and trying to teach them and train them at the same time? Which is be a better leader.
So like for me, man, and you kind of touched on it earlier, it's like, for me, my philosophy is I got to have an expert in every single position around me. Like, cause you know, I just need experts around me. So the first technician I brought in was my service manager I worked for at the Nexstar company. And he's an awesome dude, man. Awesome dude. And so he's one of my plumbing service techs, and he's amazing. So he kind of sets the tone in a lot of ways. Like, I'm the owner, and we have training every week, and I set the tone and everything else. But he really has helped set the tone and get everyone kind of, because we think alike. You know what I mean? We're both next door guys. We both think alike. So he's helped, tremendously. And then I brought in young guys, man. From day one, I brought in young guys, man, and just trained them. So they only know our way of doing things. And I've got two young apprentices that came on green that are now technicians. And I'm working on my third right now. This kid Noah, he's going to be my next electrician, and he's freaking awesome, dude. Like, these kids are amazing, and I don't buy into all this BS about kids these days and all this crap, dude. That's just a freaking cop out excuse, man. Yep. You got to learn how to train them, man. Learn what motivates them, and that's just with anybody. Like, this whole thing about, of course it's hard to find guys, man, but some people have the wrong mindset, man. They just want to like be all negative about stuff, and that's why you don't have any people, because you're so freaking negative.
Yep. Well, it's just it. You can either have excuses or you can have results. That's it. There is no middle ground there.
I wasn't able to necessarily find the t-shirt, but I don't think I could show the one photo that I found. It's you know what? I'm just going to share it because I think it's kind of funny. And you said that you would roll with anything. So
I roll with anything. Life's an open book.
This is the one that I found. So let's just throw this up onto the stream here. Would be that one.
That's nothing, dude. That's nothing. I thought you were gonna be pulling up one much worse than that, dude.
No, well, there's a couple. There's one that you have your hands running through your hair in a speedo, and there's like against the pool and a bunch of kids around. And
that's nothing. You got to dig deeper than that, man. You got to dig deeper than that.
It got frozen. It got frozen on me, so I was just like, you know what? I'll just stop there.
Yeah. That's funny.
Love it.
Yeah, man.
Random question.
Yeah, let's do it.
Favorite part of the show, that and our final question are the two favorite parts of my show. But this is the part where we have a random question pulled up, has nothing to do with anything that we're chatting about right now, and nothing to do with business either. Well, you might maybe relate it to that. So Evan pulled one up. I pulled one up. Do you want Evan's or do you want mine?
Let's do Evan.
Evan, all right. What's the most physically painful thing you've ever experienced?
Physically painful. Well, luckily I've avoided pain most of my life in terms of like that sort of thing. But I did hurt my back pretty bad doing deadlifts when I first started working out. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, like most people in the gym. And like, I just pulled this freaking deadlift I shouldn't have been pulling, and I was using straps, which are stupid. I realized, like trying to lift this thing off the floor is way too heavy for me. And I freaking got this like I was on the way up, man, and my back like snapped. I felt like this muscle fiber snapped, dude. I just freaking collapsed to the floor. And that was pretty damn painful. And that kept me in the bed for a couple of days. I got bit by a dog pretty bad, man. And my hand was all gaped open. I got scars on my finger. I don't know. That's probably the most painful thing I've ever experienced.
Nice. Well, from the looks of that picture that you pulled up there with the Speedo, I don't know, you might not have been doing any more deadlifts. Your back looks way bigger than your legs too. So someone's skipping leg day.
No, that's the wrong view, man. That's just the wrong angle.
Okay. Need the front view, camera angles. Yeah. So, good question. Actually, we talked a little bit about the growth and kind of figuring things out and hiring guys, hiring employees, and a little bit about the future growth. And we do want to kind of get into your vision for the future and some things that you want to work on in 2022. But when you look at projecting forward, how do you base your hiring decisions around your team? Especially yourself being in a little bit smaller of a market, where are you at in terms of when you're about to hire them? Do you already need the need, or are you like, okay, workload's already there, or are you forecasting that down the road?
So, I'll take you back to my HVAC division when I started it in December. So my goal for this year was to have 4 service guys, 2 install crews. So that's what I staffed for. That's what I staffed for. I bought a bunch of trucks, and that's what I staffed for. But it just didn't quite pan out. This was a weird year for HVAC overall, but being a new company and stuff, we just didn't have the call volume. So I was able to kind of weed things out, keep the strong ones, let the weaker ones, go. So that's kind of how that played out. So, but now it's like things change as you go on, man. So because like my first few years, I was just really driven to like higher because, you know, it's easy to get into the mindset that the size of the infrastructure defines the size of the business, you know, and that's what I always felt like as a technician. Like when I worked for my former company, a Nexstar company, the infrastructure was there, man. There was like all these managers and this and that and all this infrastructure that I'd never seen before, but they were only like a $3-4 million company, you know. But I didn't know any better back then. So that's just kind of what I thought going into business. Since the past few years, you know, I was always of the mindset that the infrastructure kind of defined the size of the business in a sense, you know, in terms of the facility and the number of employees and yada, yada, yada. But now going, completing my 4th year, I'm in the mindset of stretching everything, man. I want to start stretching all this overhead more, you know, more so than I did before. But I do need technicians. I've got like 3 or 4 trucks I got to get filled, you know, for next year. So, you know, the technicians, yes, because they're your money makers, but it's the overhead labor that I'm going to start stretching as much as I can right now, because that's some really good people and they're just really efficient to get stuff done. So, you know, so it just changes, man. Frankly, it changes. And it depends on whether you're talking direct labor or you're talking overhead labor. So, you know, you just got to take everything into consideration.
Right. Well, and something you mentioned earlier before we got on was that big goal for 2022 is, you know, you're probably going to get close to about 4 million by the end of this year, 3.5, 4 million. That's accurate, right?
That's like 3.2 probably. 3.
Yeah, 3.2. Okay. Still great year, especially in a small town. Like you're doing really well there, but you're wanting to get really efficient moving into next year and trimming the fat a little bit. So I guess walk us through a little bit in that strategy and what are some of the goals around that? How are you going to measure that? And how can you really maximize the people that you have? And what are some of your strategies around that?
Cool. So when I did business planning workshop for my first time, like last week in Greensboro, North Carolina. And, you know, it's a Nexstar thing they do every year. You plan out your next year. And
that shop, by the way, is amazing. We had
freaking awesome.
We had Pete and Alicia on the show back in like March, I want to say, as well.
Great
people for them to host.
Great facility. I mean, that's what I want in terms of facility wise. And I want the training room. I want all that shit. It's fucking badass, dude.
Right.
You know? But so, you know, basically when we did business planning workshop, I always knew that next year my goal was $6 million. You know, that was my goal. All this year, next year I need 6 million. I said, realistically, we'll do 4.5 to 5 probably, you know, because that's the way I set goals. I set big goals that I fail at because I work harder that way, you know? So, and when I did business planning workshop, you know, we go through all this different information, man, and all these different things. And we have this whole spreadsheet that they built that's freaking badass. Like Nexstar stuff is top notch, man. So we build this whole freaking spreadsheet out. And what you realize is, you know, you start with your call count, right? So, you know, convert the call. It's very simple. You know, at the end of the day, you convert the call, you sell it for the right, and you sell it for the right price. You book the call, you convert it, you sell it for the right price. And at the end of the day, if you can get your people to do that, you'll hit your numbers. So it's like, you know, so it's really just getting better at conversions, converting from 72% to 76%, raising our average sale from 1275 to 1550. You know, so it's these small little incremental things that kind of compound that'll get me to that 5.1 which is where we're budgeted for. We're budgeted for 5.1. That's how all the information laid out and told me is that we'll do 5.1 million next year if we can hit these numbers. And what the cool part is that it's all with our current capacity, which is what the plan was. I've got the trucks. I just need a couple of drivers. You know, so with our current capacity, we can do 5.1 million. It's just a matter of hitting these KPIs.
I love that. Well, and that's something that people often overlook is like, oh, well, I want to grow by 50% this year. I want to grow by a certain percentage. Like I need to bring in that much more revenue. That number is really daunting. But when you break it down to, I need a 1% increase here and I need a 1% increase here. It's little incremental steps that you make all the way through the funnel from the client acquisition all the way through to the end sale. And that ultimately what you're great at too is generating that review so that you can then turn it into more business down the road. But
absolutely. And it's like, just get 2% better at everything. Get 2% better at getting reviews. Get 2% better at engaging with your customer. 2% better at building options. 2% better at just everything across the board, man. That shit compounds. 2% better at keeping your truck stock.
Well, you think about, I mean, I pulled up 1% better per day. I mean, if you get 1% better per day, and I mean, I could throw in 2% on there, but you always hear the saying, get 1% better per day at something. And if you do compound it out over the course of a year, that's 3,800% that you can be better at in your business, which is a good thing. So,
well, I walked and here's a small example. I walked a buddy through this. He's a plumber in Calgary. And just in trips to Home Depot to go pick up parts because he didn't sufficiently staff his van and fill his van on a regular basis, he was going to end up saving, it was about $300,000 worth of jobs and wasted time by not
efficiency.
Exactly. Right. Just by properly putting the equipment in the truck.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Having what you need, managing your truck stock. I used to have a freaking notepad and a fucking pen and and one of the bins on my truck. I was like, oh shit, I'm low on 3/4 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have this list. So I go to the supply house, I stock up, and it's freaking easy, dude. I got everything I need. It's not that difficult. No. It's like, and these guys, I don't understand these guys, man. It's like, they'll go to the supply house 4 times on a job. It's like, what the hell are you doing, dude? Totally. So it's about getting more efficient, man, because that shit, like in training the other day, it's like, I had a good training that I should tell you about that. But one of the things I told him was that, your windshield time, sitting behind that windshield is the most expensive time of your entire day. And just trying to get them to understand that, dude. It's like you shouldn't be going to the supply house for freaking angle stops and supply lines. Like that shit should be on the truck. We provide the systems to keep your truck stocked, and like half of them don't use it. It's like, I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. But let me touch on training real quick, because I had a good training the other day. I had someone kind of leading the company for a while. And they got let things get loosey goosey, and things happen, and people move on, that sort of thing. So I'm taking the reins back over and kind of trying to hone things in. But one of the things that was happening, which I didn't know about, was that these guys were like whining at like 3 o'clock because they didn't want to go run any more calls, and things were getting rescheduled. And that's not a money call. I'm not going to go do that. Reschedule it. Yada yada yada. All the BS that that a lot of guys succumb to. And knowing that every call is an opportunity, and having the mindset that every call is an opportunity really, really changes your life, man, because that's how I was so successful. That's how you be consistent, is knowing that every call is an opportunity, man. So my training I did the other day was, so the training was, we do group exercises, right? So I'll say, okay, in a moment as a table group, I want you to make a list of all the ways that you can look at a job description in Service Titan and know that you've been dispatched to a money call. And I said, then I inscribed a table leader, and I said, you're going to have 30 seconds for this exercise. So what questions do y'all have for me? And they said, so all the ways we can look and tell if it's a money call. Yeah, all the ways you can look at the call once it's dispatched and tell whether you've been dispatched to a money call. So, okay, you got 30 seconds. All right. And I said, you may begin. And I put a timer up, played some music like I do, Then after the 30 seconds went off, I was like, I'm going to go around the room to the table. So, okay, what did you guys come up with? And you'll be debriefed, so what did you guys come up with? Oh, well, I check Zillow and I do this and this and that. And, and I go to the table and, it's the same thing. And then I go to the other table where my guy, Jason, who thinks like I do, man, he's like, he goes, every call is an opportunity. I'm like, bingo, every call is an opportunity. I said, guys, ask Jason, because he was my service manager at the prior company. I said, ask Jason how many flapper calls I turned into $3,000. I said, I would rather there be zero information on that ticket, because you need to get in there and engage with the customer and figure out what's going on. I said, as a matter of fact, this was Monday. I said, yesterday, I'm sitting in the office, and one of the office girls, her name is Lakin. I said, she comes to me and says, hey, I got a customer on the phone that says he needs a pilot lid on his propane tank. And I'm like, pilot lid on a propane tank? I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, get some more information. There's got to be something else going on, So she gets on the phone and engages with him a little bit more. And turns out he needed a pilot lid on a wall heater or some shit. But had I not been here, the freaking call would have been booked to light a pilot on a freaking propane tank. So I'm telling this to the guys, and I'm like, look, these customers do not know what they're talking about. And if you sit here and press them, they're going to feel stupid. You don't want to do that, So, at the end of the day, these customers have no idea what they're talking about. I'd rather there be no information on the stick and you get in there, engage the customer and figure out what's wrong. Because when you're looking at the job description, running toilet or whatever, all that's a no money call. Bullshit, dude. Bullshit.
Totally. Well, and you don't know what they value either, right? Like that's the other part of it. Like I did HVAC sales back in the day, and like 2014 was when I did it. And I remember going to this one house, and it was this little shithole bungalow. There was shit everywhere. Like they were hoarders. It was disgusting. But then I went downstairs to go look at their system, and like the mechanical room was immaculate. And I was like, oh shit, like this is going to be a big call. And it was an old system. And I was still in training at the time. The manager was like talking to me, and he's like, oh, this place is disgusting. We're not going to sell anything. Like these guys are cheap. And like, no, you have no idea. Like this is going to be a big sale. And sure as shit, yeah, we sold them everything.
Nice.
New furnace, new AC, everything. And I was like, they value this. They want the core of their home, the foundation of their home to work properly. That's why this room is immaculate.
Yep.
Go pitch them
everything.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Right? And it's funny, the button hook that threw them in training was that it was only a 30-second exercise. Usually they got 5 minutes or whatever. So it's 30 seconds. Why is it 30 seconds? Because there's no fucking answers, dude. That's why it's only 30 seconds. There's no answers. You know what I mean? Every call is an opportunity. I thought it was pretty funny.
That's amazing. I love it.
So it was pretty cool, man.
One of the questions we were asked here from one of our loyal listeners, Mr. John Gonzalez, was where do you see your company 3 years from now? So what's that longer term vision? Where do you want to grow to?
We should be 10 million in 3 years. We should solidly be 10 million in 3 years. We're going to have a new building somewhere. I don't know where, but I'm trying to figure that out without unloading a bunch of cash. It's just like
finance. Got to keep that cash.
I don't want to unload a bunch of cash, man. So I'm just trying to figure it out, man, in terms of that. But we should be fucking 10 million in 3 years, man. I want to open local offices in surrounding markets and just kind of expand the coverage for the Google listings and that sort of thing.
Totally.
But yeah, 3 years, man. We should be 10 million. I don't see why we wouldn't be with our growth curve. We did 1.7 last year. We're gonna do 3.3 this year. My first year I did like 340. Second year did 1.3. So it's like we've pretty practically doubled almost every year.
Well, in like the doubling is an amazing statistic to have in business. That was a tongue twister, that one. Must be this whiskey. Hey, it's a good bottle. It's called Copper 12. But when you look at that, I know when we first chatted, one of the things that you started out with was plumbing. You've added on HVAC, you've added on electrical. So how much of that is a result of adding in those extra services? But in addition to that question, how did you go about adding in those extra services?
So this is interesting. So I knew from day one, I called the company Culpeper Home Services, and people were like, I didn't really get it at the beginning because you were just a plumber, whatever. But I knew I wanted to do electrical and plumbing because it didn't exist in this market. These customers in this market got to call someone from out of town to get a really good company. So it was a hole in the market. It was wide open. And that's the thing, man. You can look at Google, you can look at markets on Google, plumbers and wherever, and see markets that are just wide open. It's not hard to do. This market was wide open, dude. The top company had like 15 reviews, and it's like, that in a month, I'm at the top of Google in a month, dude. Like, and I'm getting all the calls. I'm just a one-man operation working on my freaking house, dude, and they had no idea. And you got to always present yourself bigger than you are. For the small guys out there, always present your company like it's one of these big guys. You got to, perception is everything, make the customer perceive that you're a larger company because that gives them confidence. So I'm trying to think about the question, and I can't remember exactly what the question was because I went on a tangent.
No, it's all good. So it was what part of your growth is related to adding on those additional services?
Gotcha.
And what were some of the experiences that you learned of adding those on?
Gotcha. All right, cool. So this is what I did. So I knew I wanted to be electrical and HVAC. I wanted to do everything in house. One company for the customer. That's what they want. So I added all of the electrical services onto my Google page, because you can go on the Google page, and I've always been really involved with that, optimizing it, always checking in, seeing what else I can do, that sort of thing. It's huge. So I added all the electrical services there. And what that allowed me to do was start coming up in Google searches for electricians and everything to having to relate to electricians. That made me show up in the Google map, got my phone ringing for it, even though this was, about a year prior to even starting electrical. My phone's ringing for it, but I had a relationship with a guy in town and I knew he was a good dude. He did good work, so I would just, hey, we're not quite doing electrical yet. So I would, hey, call such and such, and that's what they would do. Hey man, got my phone ringing for it. I'm happy, knowing that it's building the groundwork for what's coming, so at the same time I'm interviewing, I'm like, laying all the groundwork, getting the price book dialed in, getting the freaking truck, getting yada, 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 building all the groundwork foundational stuff. And then the beauty of it is the phone's already ringing for the services. The phone is already ringing for the electrical. So 9 months down the road, I got a truck, I find a technician, I put them in it. Now we're just booking the calls on our own board, man. It's not that hard, and now boom, we got an electrical division and it's freaking booming, dude. We stay fucking packed because there's not a whole lot of 5-star electrical companies out there. Electrical is like the redheaded stepchild of the trades for some reason. And when it really is, I don't know why, So
the soulless part of the trade.
When you can be an amazing electrical company, your fucking board will be full, because there's not many of them out there. And I'd use the same strategy for HVAC, man. I started, and as soon as I did that, then I went into HVAC. That was September of 2019. I launched HVAC December of 2020. So from that point, between those 2 points, man, I was interviewing, I was building all the groundwork, man, referring calls out to a guy across town that I was friends with, that does good work, takes good care of customers and all that good stuff. And, and then when the day comes when I got my technician and my truck, I'm just booking the calls my own board, man. The phone's already ringing for it, dude, and so that's how I added the trades, and then at that point I added it to the website and the SEO and all that stuff. But up to that point, it was just on the Google page and I would come up in the Google map, but I'd be first on that Google map for electrician and HVAC when I wasn't even doing it.
That's smart. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and do something, right? Done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
The system wasn't there. The people weren't there, but we're going to start generating the calls for it.
Yeah.
Once we know we have the call volume for it, now it's really easy to hire. We've already got all the work coming in. So let's just roll with it and let's see where we go. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I devised that on my own. So if anyone uses that, make sure you give me a kickback.
I want royalties. Yeah.
You become your own lead gen. You are the home advisor for Culpeper.
So now you have this business, 3.2 million. You got the goal for 6 million next year. Your big, hairy, audacious goal, your BHAG, as some like to call that. For it. So, what do you foresee as some of your obstacles that you're going to be coming up against for this next year in order to be able to hit your 6 million and in your 3 years, your 10 million goal? What are some obstacles that you're going to see and how are you going to overcome them?
Processes and management of the processes. That's huge, man. Huge.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to these Nexstar events, you talk to other owners, man, they are just running the Nexstar processes to a T, man. And it's just like, damn, man, it's freaking awesome because they literally give you a blueprint for every freaking part of your business, man. And there are guys out there just running these processes, man. And so that's my big hurdle. That's what's going to get us to that 5.1 next year and ultimately 10 and beyond. It's just running these processes, having great people that can manage the processes, and also having leaders in the company underneath of me to help lead the team to the promised land. And I'm just going to keep engaging with the Nexstar, keep going to the trainings, and keep seeking out great people, man. I mean, what else can you do?
It's always about people, right? If you can surround yourself with the right people, it's really easy to take a team to the quote unquote promised land, right? To the end goal. When you're surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you and better than you, difficult to keep those people, right? And you have to continue to level up and become that business owner that continues to attract people like that. So,
yep. And you got to give a lot of praise, man. People love praise. People love to feel like they're making a difference, and they love to feel like they're part of the team. And like for me, man, like I don't want to be, on the front line, man. I want to put my people on the front line, put them up on the pedestal, and let them take all the glory, because they're really the ones who make it happen.
Yes. When you're the business owner, every success that we have, it's because of you. everything that goes wrong is because of me, and now we get to work on it and fix it together.
Exactly. And I learned that by watching NFL quarterbacks in their post-game interviews. So if you notice when a quarterback is interviewed in his post-game interview, it's like when they win, it's all about the team. The offensive line did a great job. The defense did a great job. Yada yada yada. But when they lose, it's like I didn't deliver. I had an interception. I didn't have a good completion percentage, and so you can learn a lot in life by just observing. And
Yep.
a strategy that I like to employ is I like to pretend that I'm the dumbest guy in the room, because you're going to learn a lot by doing that.
Yep.
Well, and you look at the interviews with leaders. I mean, the quarterbacks are the leaders, or interviews with the NFL and sports in general is that the leaders are the people that are going to take the brunt of everything, right? It's the same thing in running a business. You have to be able to take the brunt of everything, but also take accountability, take things by the reins, and run with it, and lead your team, into those areas. So,
absolutely,
yeah.
100%, dude. I mean, that's what it's all about is having leadership and having a leadership team that can just lead the whole freaking team, man. I mean, that's what it's all about. Is developing leaders and always training your replacement. To be honest, always training your replacement so you can keep moving up, and you just and those roles just keep being filled, and you just keep growing.
No, 100%. Sweet. Well, we are coming up on. Sorry, did you have another thought there?
Yeah, let me just add. The first quarter of this year, man, I was living everything that I was warned about by starting an HVAC division. I was living it, man. The first quarter of this year, I had crappy installers, I had crappy service techs, and we had freaking systems falling through ceilings. We had floods. It was a freaking shit show. We had mismatched equipment. I mean, it's not that hard, man. When a system sells, you order out of the book. It's like you read across the line. I mean, how hard is that to do? But we were having like systems come in that weren't even matched correctly and all kinds of shit. And then because I had some really good people in my back pocket, but they just weren't in yet. They weren't in yet. So I was just trying to get to that point, man. And it was a shit show. The first quarter of this year was an absolute shit show. But man, we've made good with every customer, which is what you got to do, man. You got to step up and make good with every single customer, no matter what. And we pulled through, and I got my team here that's freaking amazing. I got probably the best freaking installers in the country right now, man. They're amazing. And that's what it takes, man. It takes experts in every position around you. You have to have experts, and it just makes such a big difference.
So is that what you would say really helped reel that in and kind of right the ship, so to speak, when it came to the shit hitting the fan there?
Yeah, because there was this dude named Bean, right, that I've been talking to for like about a year. It's like, hey, he's like this master freaking installer, man, like master freaking installer, knows his shit, right? And these dudes are hard to find. Well, we've been talking about a year. He's going to come in. He's planning on coming in about, March is what we were talking about, coming in about March. Well, March, like we're in communication the whole time. March hits and boom, I can't get a hold of him. And my fucking install department is a fucking shit show. You know what I mean? and it's like, and I'm like, holy shit, I can't even get a hold of him. He won't call me back. Nothing, dude. And I'm like, I'm going to get a response out of this dude one way or another, man. So for the entire freaking month, dude, I was calling him, texting him like 5 times a day, man. He's either going to tell me to go fuck myself, or he's going to say, hey, man, I'm coming on board. It's like, I'm getting a response out of this dude, because it was to that point, like, this is my guy. I got to have this dude, man. And so I remember, like, that went off like a month, dude. I'm stressing the hell out. Like, what the hell am I going to do, man? Because I needed him to coordinate my installs, to make sure the right equipment was done, make sure the installs were clean and done correctly. Because everyone tells you in HVAC, man, you live and die by your installs, and it's absolutely true, man. Had we gone on the way we were going, it wouldn't be good right now, dude. But so freaking, he finally sent me a text message. One night I was walking into a restaurant with my wife. We're walking in, to have dinner on this Friday night, dude. And I'm like, and the dude's name is Bean, and I'm like, Bean called. I'm talking to Bean. I was like, I am talking to Bean. And of course I can't like portray that kind of emotion to Bean on the phone, and I'm like, oh yeah, Bean, what's up, dude? Yeah, we're going to talk soon, dude. So he ended up coming on board in like mid-April, dude, and he brought another amazing installer with him. So Bean's kind of the head of the install department, oversees everything. And then the other dude he brought with him is an amazing installer that they've worked together for a long time. So the installs are freaking top notch now, dude. Top freaking notch. Like,
love it.
Top notch.
I can't imagine how excited you were on dinner with your wife that night after that phone call. Like she probably got it pretty good that night.
Oh yeah, she gets it good every night, dude.
Well, I mean, the quality of your work is as good as the quality of your people.
Yes.
And if you don't have good quality people, you don't have good quality work, then you don't get more work. And they just go hand in hand, making sure that you treat your people right.
Yep. And it's funny because one of the things I train on all the time is that your customer does not care about the plumbing, your customer does not care about the HVAC, and your customer is not going to care about the freaking electrical. Anybody can do that shit. I'll Google plumbers in Culpeper and bring it up on the freaking big screen in the training room. Be like, look at all these options these customers have in the marketplace. I said, they can call any of these people and pay probably 2/3 less than what they're paying us. Mm-hmm. Like they're not calling us because we're fucking cheap. They're calling us because we're good, because of our reputation. And you have to be focused on the experience that we provide. That's why they call us, because we provide the experience. We show up, we're clean, we do what we say we're going to do, and we back our stuff, man. That's why they call us.
And it's so important that you define those standards and you define those expectations for your business. So I really commend you for the business that you're running right now and the business that you're becoming and growing into, and the amount of lives that you're going to have an impact on in your small corner of the world. It's going to be pretty powerful, man. Good.
Thank you. It's pretty funny that you say that, because I picked up my son, I think last Friday, and he went to a Chinese restaurant for dinner, right? And he's like, "Here, Dad, I got you a fortune cookie." I'm like, "Oh, cool, awesome." So we go home and we open the fortune cookie, and it says something to the effect of, "You will get rich by serving people," was the fortune. And I was like, "That's freaking crazy, man. That's wild." It was like something to the effect of that. Like that's not exactly what it said, but it was within that same sort of context. And I thought that was pretty cool.
It's true, right? That's the goal of every business owner, is to serve, right? Whether you're serving your customers, you're serving your people.
They're all the same. Customers, people. Yeah, they're all the same, man. My employees, my customers, they're all the same, dude. It's like you gotta serve people, man. Serve people.
100%. Well, as we wrap things up here, we're right at an hour right now. So it's been a fantastic show. We've loved having you on. We got one final question here for you. And that is, what is one question you wish that people would ask you more, but they don't?
Oh, geez. Oof. I don't even know, dude. Couldn't even tell you. Should I get into the trades? That's a great question. That's a great question. I mean, ask me that. And, I'll tell you something funny with that. Freaking, we were down at Marco Island for super meeting just, last month. Me and a friend of mine, with Next Star super meeting. We're walking on the street, right? And this car rolls up, man. This car just kind of pulls up on the sidewalk, and it's like, has a phone, like, "Hey man, are you guys business owners?" We're like, "Yeah, we're business owners." And and they're just asking us questions like how much revenue we're going to do and this and that. And we're answering all these questions, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on here, dude? And this dude's walking across the street, and I'm like, what is this? Because my buddy John's really engaging with him a lot, and I'm kind of stepping back, like, what's going on here? Like, this feels like a setup almost, But the dude was like, undercover cop or something. Yeah, But the dude was like, no, they're like TikTokers, man, and they were called I don't even remember, dude. They're like, oh, they're TikTokers, and that's what they drive around Naples and do this. I'm like, well, that's pretty freaking cool. So then we ended up on TikTok, and then it ended up on Facebook where someone tagged me on it. And it's funny as shit, man. So I had this lady email me, and she goes, "Hey, my son saw you on TikTok and he's thinking of getting into the trades. What advice do you have for him?" And I'm like, that's pretty cool, man. And I'm like, well, give me his number and I'll call him. So and I called him, and we were talking, and I just encouraged him to get in the trades, man. It's the way to be, man.
Yep. Love it. So why should someone get into the trades? And coming from someone who's a high school dropout and you're now running a $3 million business. Why should someone take a strong look at this instead of going to university?
Well, because number one, you're going to get paid to be trained. Like I was 17, 18 years old, making more money than all of my friends. Like, and then when I was in a truck, I was making like $16 an hour and 2000, 2000, man. Because I moved up in pay pretty quickly because I was producing, man. You know, I started to produce. So as I started to produce, I started to make good money. It's like, well, shit, I'm in too deep now to do anything else. And then here I am, like 20 years old, making 18, $20 an hour, you know, and it's just like, it's good money. And this is freaking, you know, 20 years ago.
20 years ago now. Yeah.
You know, so, you know, you get paid to train, you know, you get and I recommend getting in with a company that has like a clear kind of career path for guys coming in. You know, you come in as an apprentice, we'll train you, we can get you in a truck, you know, as soon as you're ready. But you can make great money. It's very rewarding serving customers. That's what we're here to do, is serve customers' needs. And it's just a very rewarding thing, man. You know, you don't have to go dump a bunch of money on college that, you know, I mean, I've hired people with college degrees at like not a lot of money. It's like college is not the way to go unless you're gonna be a doctor, a lawyer, something that requires a degree. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a place for it, but I like to say like 80% of people that go to college probably shouldn't be going to college. You know what I mean?
Nope. Well, I mean, I look at myself. I went to university, I have a business degree. If I was to do it all over again, I would have actually listened to my dad and went into the trades. Because there is so much more benefit that you can have. But I mean, you think about it like, okay, you want to run a business. Well, you don't need to go to business school to learn how to run a business, because some of the most successful business people that I know that never went to business school. You can learn it all, right? That's the Google thing. And you have Google, right? Or you can get mentors and you can find people to learn off of and surround yourself with great individuals who can teach you the things about running a business. And if you don't know those things, guess what? You can hire experts that are smarter than you to be able to do it.
And the trades are great because all the owners, there's so much information out there. There's so many great owners out there that are just willing to share information. Being a part of Nexstar, it's all about sharing and giving. And there's just so much information out there, man. I spend my time reading about business and learning about business and that sort of thing. There's tons of information out there.
100%. So,
and it looks like Tersh went to a college at one point for a party. So I think that's probably all he showed up for.
I went to college one time and I asked him just once, so we'll see what he says in return. So,
love Tersh.
But yeah, so he signed on as the Service Business Mastery podcast, also another great podcast. So be sure to check that out. So, as we do wrap up, if you do have actually, by the way, any questions, we did not shamelessly plug our guest in the middle of the show like you normally do, so we're saving it to the end. Of course, check out his website, culpeperhomeservices.com. And if you want to reach out and ask some questions, facebook.com/Russell.Furr122980. We'll put those in the show notes. Don't worry. So you have those in case you need. I'm sure if you Google him, Russel Furr. I don't think you have the Speedo in your profile picture though, so they won't be able to find that one.
They won't recognize you from that.
Yeah, we'll recognize you from that. So no, not that hard to find. So, but again,
it just makes me look European, right? Because if you go to these if you go to the Caribbean and whatnot, you see people from all over the country, and the Caribbean, the European dudes, they're always like these old fat gray guys wearing these Speedos, you know. So it's like, I know that's my excuse. I'm just European, man.
Try going to Europe and seeing that. Like we went to a wedding. We were chatting about the Dominican earlier. We were actually in the Dominican for a wedding, and there was a very large European man in a Speedo in the background of their wedding photos. I felt so bad for them, but hey, you know what? We laughed. It's not my wedding, so where we go.
That's good. I love it.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, Russell, for taking the time to sit and chat with us. Of course, if you want to reach out, ask him any questions, feel free. And until next time, cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, two quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing is, if you took one tiny bit of information out of the show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to share this. No matter what platform you're consuming this content on, hit the share button and introduce this show to others in your contacts list so they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.